Video Tip. I'm your host, Eric Forsetter. As always, it's great to have you back for another terrific episode. Let's jump into the goals of EQ Video Tip before we get into this week's tip. What's on tap for this week? Well, we've got a great episode, and it's about practicing empathy and why recognition matters as a team, and not just as an individual, but as a whole team. And it comes to us from Christine Porath as well as Adrian Boise. And they talk to us about why it's so important to practice empathy as a team. And we're going to give some tips on how to do that in a team environment as opposed to just individually as well. And one of the things that we think about when you practice empathy and you practice things like gratitude and recognition, it actually releases dopamine. And dopamine is that great shot of boost of confidence. It makes you feel good. It makes the person giving it feel good, and as well as the person receiving it feel good. Let's jump into some tips on how the team can practice empathy and recognition to make them a better team. Tip number one, create an appreciation round. Have the whole team get around in a circle and go around the circle saying, John, I appreciate it when you do X. Once that happens, John goes and says, Sally, I appreciate it when you do Y. Be more specific. The more specific you can be, the better it will be. Continue that for the entire team. And when you do that, everyone will be appreciated and everyone will feel that shot of dopamine we just talked about, as well as want to be more connected to your team. So when you're thinking about how do we do recognition, start with an appreciation round. Tip number two, do a complete me exercise. What's a complete me exercise? It's finishing a sentence. For example, like compassion is hardest when X, or I made a difference yesterday when blank happened, or I show up every day because of, and let those people fill in the sentences. Again, have the whole team do it. Everybody has their answers. And again, there's no right or wrong answer. Use that complete me exercise to help build that empathy on the team. Tip number three, try a step-in exercise, or actually stepping into a circle. So for example, everybody's in a circle and you say step in if you prefer the beach or the mountains. Step in if you feel like you had a chance to exercise this week. Step in if you feel like you're not enough some days. Step in if some days you feel like you're a failure. Again, try different things to increase your vulnerability and increase your chance to have the whole team see that you're vulnerable and you have weaknesses, because we're all human beings. Doing that step-in exercises shows that everybody on the team is human and we're all part of the same cause. Our next tip, the check-in exercise. What do we mean by that? Put a bunch of pictures on a table. Pictures of families, pictures of the beach, twinkle lights, child smiling, bench in the garden, sunset with clouds, a storm, a large dumbbell. You name it, just different objects. And then have people go around and pick one of the items that they think they're most relating to right then, and then have them talk about it for about 30 seconds, why they're relating to it, what it means to them right then and there. This is going to open up their vulnerability and also talk about what's happening in their lives right now as opposed to other times of the year. Make sure you give people a chance to explain it and be vulnerable and give a chance to open up about what's actually happening in their world. That's a wrap for this week's EQ video tip. Hopefully you enjoyed the tips. Of course, customize them and make them yours for your team. There are a few more that'll be in the highlights just after this as well. So that concludes our EQ video tip for today. Try incorporating some of these tips into your daily routine. But remember, use what works best for you and personalize it for yourself. Thank you always to our great research team for providing us with some great tips today. As always on EQ Video Tip, we want to end with gratitude.
So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Here are some resources that you can use if you want more information on EQ going forward. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.